Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Daily Teachings. Before we start, quick disclaimer: anything we discuss is just for educational purpose, nothing is a financial advice. Alright guys, a big red day in the markets, but as always, nothing to panic. The red days is an elevator down, and the strategies that I teach you, there's a playlist about the red day trading. This video is also going to go into that playlist. VIX strategy, clouds to hold huge runners on the short side, all day short, not touching the longs. If you struggle today, if you were trying to go long, if you're trying to intraday trade calls or buying shares and you lost money today, watch this video carefully and watch the full playlist of all the red days that I teach you. Never again struggle on a red day. So we are going to recap all our short setups today, all our home run short setups, a couple of long losers which were no surprise there. So I want to cover all those setups, so next time it's a red market, you know how to trade the red market and you do not struggle ever again. I'm going to do a very quick introduction for anybody who's new to our X accounts, new to our YouTube, or new to our community. We trade a repeatable system called Ripster EMA Cloud system. The system I've been teaching from 8-9 years on X for free. Over the years have changed a lot of lives. You can go ripstereducation.com, see how I have impacted thousands of lives with my teachings for free, never charging anything for my teachings. My teachings are still free, but we trade in our private community with this system, Tanner Trade Group, one of the largest live trading educational community, not an alert service, where we trade every day all these setups. We make a pre-market plan. Every live pre-market plan is made for every stock, what we are going to do, what is our initial bias based on Ripster EMA Cloud system. We share all the pre-market notes for the ETFs, for the indices, for the futures, for the crypto stocks. Everything is planned in the pre-market based upon our Ripster EMA Cloud system. We also have our day 2, day 3 strategy, which is a strategy that I did a free webinar. I often do a lot of free webinars. Most of those webinars are part of my community, with my PowerPoints, with the live trades, how to enter and exit, everything. So anyways, everything is planned in the pre-market. This is what our plan, we plan, and then thousands of traders on our trading floor. We trade this live in the community. I'm on a live screen share, I'm on voice, I'm guiding the traders through the market, what market's gonna do, and we do same thing again and again. There's a lot of concepts, there's hundreds of concepts that I teach. I try to teach you guys every day on YouTube, on Shorts, on X, and we also use those concepts live in the community. We have so many free tools in community. We have 3-4 option flow scanners, stock scanners, news bot alerts, audio news alerts, breaking news, order flow. The tools worth $500-600, which are free in the community. So anyways, so listen carefully, watch these timestamp recaps, try to learn this system, these repeatable setups. System is how you trade, setup is what you trade. We'll talk a little bit about the market, how you can be a safe investor in the market as well. So listen and try to implement these teachings, and if you like it, learn free from all my YouTube and all our X accounts. And if you ever feel like you want to join the community, feel free to join it as well. Anyways, let's start the recap for the day. All right, so let's start with SPY QQQ. So market sold off a lot today. Many reasons for market selling off. Sell the news into the government opening. We are not getting the CPI report, we are not getting the jobs data report, so market is a little iffy. And also during the day, those Fed speakers, they were coming talking about we might not get the rate cuts. So everything combined, gave us this sell off today, for SPY, for QQQ. So we got this sell off today, and the sentiment is changing for a lot of the AI names. And when this kind of sell-off happens, all the stocks which have high PE, which are overvalued, which we call as overvalued, the sentiment changes, right? And the micro cap, the mid caps, they sell off more. So you see IWM was selling all day, QQQ was selling all day, and the VIX ran today from 17-18 bucks all the way to 21 resistance, right? The big VIX candle today, if you look at the daily chart. So everything told us that we are not going to touch anything long today. So everything told us we're not going to touch anything long today. But you save your money not going long, but you also short the market. You trade futures, you trade futures, you trade options, you trade leverage ETF short, anything to make profits as the market goes down. So let me show you what was our plan. Simple VIX strategy that I've been teaching for many years. Same VIX strategy, same plan we make every day in the pre-market. It's all about VIX 18, 18, 20 today. Breakout over that, we short SPY, right? So clean plan given to the traders in the pre-market. If VIX breaks out over 18, 18, 20, we short SPY on MTF flush, QQQ on 2021 MTF flush. If we hold or reject these levels, then watch for a pop on the market, right? So we had this plan already, right? So I had already given that plan. What are the MTFs? QQQ 2021 MTF, SPY under 1 hour MTF. You know, you can also use the daily MTFs. There's a 5, 12 daily MTF. These are all the MTF clouds I use. You know, you don't really have to use it, but it gives you a it tells you what's happening, right? Any kind of MTF clouds you can use. So these are daily 512s. So as soon as the market opened QQQ, I told the traders to MTF short it. Let's take a look. Right here, short it, MTF short it. Under the pre-market lows, short it. We shorted the SPY right here. You take the NASDAQ futures short. If you do not understand how to short things, you need to go back and learn about that, learn the basics, so you understand my videos, what my recaps are about. So anyways, we shorted it and then we got a bounce, and that's fine. The bounce is fine. This bounce is fine. So we got the bounce because VIX kind of pulled back a little. You see that in the morning, right? In the morning, VIX pulled back right here. This is the VIX pullback. This VIX pullback corresponds to this SPY QQQ NASDAQ future bounces. I can show you the future trades here as well. So you see that it corresponds to this bounce. We closed our shorts, but when it rejected, I told the traders to short again, buy the puts again, short the NASDAQ future again, long the leverage ETFs. When market is selling off, you can leverage ETF long SPXS, you can long SOXS, you can long anything you like. SPXS is also a good one to long. SOXS you can long QID, you can long, you see, you don't have to short. You can long the inverse ETFs, inverse of QQQs. QQQ dumps from 616 to 608. QLD it goes from 2040 all the way to 2021, right? So as you buy those shares, you're risking $1,000. Even if you risk $1,000, you are making 3-4 grand by end of the day. So various ways to make money when the market sells off, and you do not touch it. Because why? Because VIX just bounced from the MTF clouds and VIX ran all the way up on the 512s. We broke the 18, we held the 18. Remember the pre-market plan. What was the pre-market plan? If we hold the 18, we will short the SPY, and that's exactly we did. We did get this bounce, but we reshorted it. A lot of traders in the community reshorted when we hit this clouds right here. We hit the short, add back on 512 rejections on the shorts. Add back the 512 rejections shorts. You see that we added back on the 512 rejections on the short on QQQs, right? So that's when we faded, and then we got our next target was the lower MTFs, and we flushed to the daily 3450. Then we flushed to the 50-55 MTF, right? So we flushed there from VIX strategy, and we used the same VIX strategy yesterday. Yesterday VIX went from 17 to 18, we shorted the market. So 2 days in the row we did the same thing. You can see the live guidance, and the same thing today. Today VIX went from 18 to 20 and we shorted it. It's as simple as that. Anybody who held their shorts all day really made good profit, and that's how you can consistently do it again and again and again. Just when this is working, you make enough profits, and when it's not working, you take a small loss. That's how you do it. If you look at the puts, QQQ put lottos went from $50 to 16. $1,000 became 5-6 grand in a day, right? If you have a $100,000 account, you take a $1,000 lotto, you get that instant growth in your account doing that. Or you buy leverage ETFs, or you trade NASDAQ futures, whatever you want to trade. You grow your account. If you are a long investor, you're a long bias trader, and you have some long positions, you're losing money, you want to hedge it, you follow the Ripster clouds. Use the Ripster clouds, use my MTF clouds, hold as long as the 512 clouds hold, use the Ripster labels, use all these these cloud setups, and just follow the clouds and do it consistently. Use the VIX strategy, use my 10 AM concepts, use the morning trend time concepts, the market analysis concepts, And if you look at IWM, that was the best short as well today. Under MTF clouds, IWM was weakest because those names are getting hit the most. And if you look at that, IWM was support broke 248, 241. That was the short there on IWM. So there's many ways, and when market is so heavy, you could literally short anything. We will talk about a lot of other short setups we did. We'll talk about Tesla next, because the short setups become A plus, right? So if you're struggling, learn the Ripster clouds. It's free to learn. We do it every day. Thousands of traders are every day changing their life with consistent trades, and you can do it as well. All right, so next one I'm going to talk about is Tesla. So next was our Tesla short. Remember, when market is selling off, your first focus is to focus on the short setups. All right, so let's look at what was a pre-market plan on Tesla. Let's take a look here, the pre-market planning on Tesla. So Tesla, our plan in the pre-market, we planned was trade with the market, testing MTF today, bearish to neutral bias. So we were supposed to trade with the market. If market is bearish, we were going to look for a short setups. So as soon as I saw that Tesla is breaking that 50-50 MTF, I told the traders is a 50-50 MTF short. They already know that. I told them to put the stops at 422. So you're shorting it here, right? Your stops are at 422s. So if bounces, right now is a $4 stop if you're shorting it here, although you can keep a smaller stop as well. The targets I gave was 413 and 411, and you see we hit the 413 and then we also hit the 411 as well. The next target I gave was 405 and 402. So why did I give these targets? Let's take a look here. So let's go to the daily chart on Tesla. That's what you need to analyze. If you look at the daily chart on Tesla, you will see that it was a support here, which was where it's initially bounced, and there was a gap here, right? So that support was around 402, 403 area. So that's the gap support. And under that, if you look carefully, so we hit our 405 targets, we've hit our 402 targets, all those targets were hit, but under that was 400 psychological level. Then I told the trader that we can fill the gap. 396 is the gap. If 400 drops, we can fill the gap. And this was the gap, guys. And we did break 402, 403, and no hindsight from me. Every target I gave way behind. I gave these targets early in the morning. So you see, I gave these targets 405, 402, 403. Then later in the afternoon, I said we're going to fill the gap, because when we break the gap fill, the 400 psychological, we usually fill the gap. So we did fill the gap almost a little, not fully, maybe a dollar short, but you understand the concept, right? So that's why you're supposed to stay short on Tesla all day long. Just let it be, just hold your shorts from the MTF clouds. Let's see if there was any other MTF under that. So no, so that was all, just breaking the 50-50 MTF. Hold it from 418 all the way to 400, and you exit when it curled right here, and it kind of bounced from the 400 psychological level. So we'll be watching tomorrow. If it holds 400, we'll look for the longs. If it fails 400, we'll look for the shorts. But just to show you that how you can literally grow your account in a day trading. Let's take a look at 415 puts, right? The 415 puts went from $4 all the way to $19. Even if you had $400 worth or $800 worth, if you're $400, that turned into $1,900. Even if you scaled out, you still made at least 3 times that money, right? If you're $1,000, you still made a $3,000. So that was the kind of trade there on Tesla. And you could always trade leverage ETFs. You could trade TSLL, short those options, buy those option puts, or you can long TSLQ. So trade the leverage ETFs. That's how you can make consistent money and less risk, more reward. Means stress-free. Risk is still there, but it is easier to manage with the shares rather than fighting your options, right? So that was Tesla pre-market planning. Ripster clouds again, clutch on Tesla. Let's go to the next one. All right, so next one we're going to take a look at is PLTR. So let's see what was our plan in PLTR and how did we trade that. So let's take a look here. So PLTR, it was one of our top play here in the community. We were watching it because there was so much noise on it. Of course, Michael Burry, and of course it's a cult stock. When market sell off, we were looking at PLTR for opportunities. So we had a pre-market planning support was 180, resistance was 180 to 50. Bearish bias as long as under yesterday lows. If it holds yesterday's lows, look for the curl. Simple plan, not simple plan. The plan that it is under yesterday lows, we will have a bearish bias. and it went under yesterday lows, and that's when you short it. If you take away the intraday chart and you look at the daily candle, you will see that as soon as it's flushed under yesterday lows, you short it, you put your stops over initial over this area or 512 clouds. Once it breaks the pre-market lows, it confirms the short. So traders were already short, so I told them hold the shorts. I told them to put the stops at 180 because we were breaking this bear flag, and so we put the stops at 180. You can short here as well, $2 risk at 178, and it was an MTF breakdown short, right? So MTF clouds. So as we started to fade, we moved the stops around to 178.50. I gave the targets 175, and then I gave the second target of 173. So we hit the 175 target right here, made a nice bear flag, and then we hit our 171 targets. If you see that I gave those targets in first hour, I didn't give these targets later in the day. Those targets were given way early, right? So that's how you make money, and on a red day, and not buying. We were not buying PLTR. When it's time to buy, we will buy. Short-term trade, we will do the cloud trades there. You could always always short leverage ETF on PTIR. It does have put options. You could trade those put options. If you look at 28 puts, not that liquid, but they did move up. Let's take a look here. Yeah, they're not that liquid. I would just trade the PLTR puts much better, but you could short the shares on the leverage ETFs and make money that way. Just want to quickly look at NVIDIA. So NVIDIA was also on our plan because the market is heavy, NVIDIA is going to first be sell off. So NVIDIA had some news in the pre-market and we had a bearish bias as long as under previous day lows. Same thing, as long as under the previous day lows. Previous day lows, staying bearish. It's under previous day low, that's your risk to short. And you see that the first candle dump, and exactly when QQQ was pumping, the same time the VIX rejected, you stay short, right? So it was an MTF magnet, MTF to the MTF. From one MTF to the second MTF. You can also see the 3450 MTF there as well. So it was flushing from one MTF to the second MTF cloud, and was a beautiful MTF magnet setup, which you also call as air gaps between the different clouds. So that was a beautiful trade on NVIDIA short. So next one, we're going to look at ONON. So ONON was our loser in the community today. It was our day 2 setup. It was a day 2 earning setup. So as I saw it pushing over, I told the traders to long it, and I told the breakout is over yesterday highs. But the same breakout we were expecting, it double topped, and then we got out, took a loss there for like $1 loss and got out. But that's fine, because we were trying a setup. And it's not surprising that our only loser today was a long setup. Remember, when market is super bearish, you have to be very cautious on the long setups, which will push and then they will pull back. The similar setup was we had. Let's take a look at Lily here. So if you look at Lily, if you want to take a look at Lily, we were long Lily as well. Let's take a look. Go to the Lily, because Lily was a breakout. Right at the open, we were long Lily. Right as it pushed, I told the traders long versus 114. The first 5 minutes, I told the trader to long Lily. Right here, long Lily, breakout is 123, 150 is the target. So we broke out. Next candle pushed to 133, 135 was our first target. We hit it. Then we stalled, and then we had finally to get out when it started pulled back. But there was a good trade trading this call, and we had a pre-market plan on Lily as well. It's not that we just jump on it. So we had a pre-market plan on Lily. Let's take a look right here. Price target increased by Morgan Stanley. Watch 1K MTF to hold, neutral bias, breakout level 117. So as soon as it pushes over 117, you long it. It was a morning trade, and it topped out at 10 a.m. And sometimes things will top out at 10 a.m. And again, since the market was super bearish, it didn't really do much after that, after 10 a.m. So we had to get out of that trade. Now, if you're adding here, yes, you're risking more. You should be adding here, this area, or maybe this area. If you do that, you still can get out with the least amount of damage, or if you're going to trade a Lily XX. So those were two long examples today for us. And let's take a look at some more trades here. So let's take a look at quantum stocks. So I was watching all the quantum stocks. If you look at different quantum stocks, you can look at QBTS, you can look at QUBT, you can look at IONQ. Our main trade was IONQ. Why was IONQ our main focus? The reason IONQ was our main focus was because IONQ was weak and this AI pump was dying, right? All these names were selling off. All this I quantum names were selling off. So short as long as under 50. That was a simple plan. 48.50 support, 50 resistance. So as soon as I saw it, I told the traders to short it, and then at 10 a.m. I told the traders it's a bear flag, and from that bear flag it faded all the way to 44. So you can see that risking 50, you could make, if you risk $1, you could make 5 grand shorting that IONQ short right there with the 50 psychology. And no hindsight, I gave that plan in the pre-market. So that, and you are not touching it long because Ripster clouds are bearish, Ripster labels are bearish. Rather than trying to go long and lose your money, just hold, add puts, short shares, trail the stops, and by the end of the day, you're making consistent profit, right? So setups work. When we lose small, but if you see all my recaps, when we lose small, but when we make, we win a lot. Our runners are huge. So that's how you do it, and IONQ is a big example of how you can do that, keeping losers small and shorting and holding your winners all the way down. So that's why, and focus on the sector. The whole sector was weak. You could short QBTS, you could short QUBT, QUEBT. I even put those on our day 2 setups. RGTI. So RGTI was a good short as well. Let's see here. Yeah, so you can see that RGTI. So RGTI was also a good short all day fade. So you could literally short anything you want in the quantum sector. So make sure you know your sector analysis, what you're going to do. And next sector is also a great example of this. Next example we're going to look at is our neoclouds, CoreWeave. So we have CoreWeave, we have, I have discussed it extensively, so I'm not going to spend too much time. I also put out some shorts on that. So this was what? This was day 3 today. We traded day 1, we did it day 2, IRN was a day 2, CoreWeave was a short under pre-market lows, IRN short under yesterday lows, and we also had NBIS day 3 plan. Neoclouds weak in the pre-market, followed day 3 plan. NBIS still bearish to short under previous day lows. So you see that I gave the plan on all of them in the pre-market again, because we are staying under the yesterday lows. Yes, it was a little choppy. 10 minutes were not clean, but still it faded. So when this happens, you go to the 30 minutes. So it was a little choppy. So that was not good. But let's look at CoreWeave. CoreWeave was much clean short. So I gave all these shorts in the morning at the open. NBIS kind of chopped off us, but the ones which were working flawlessly, look at CoreWeave. So CoreWeave short faded from 84s all the way to 78s. IRN, which was still bearish, also faded all the way from 50 psychological level to 48. So you see those setups, you see the whole sector is weak, whole neocloud sector is weak. These are the opportunities to make money and not to swing or add longs. You stay away from those. That's not the time to just try to go long on those names, right? You just need to sit back, either hedge or short, or just wait for an opportunity when those names provide that short to you. So you can see that how our setups work, how the pre-market planning work. I highlighted the pre-market plan on these neoclouds. So another day, another win on our neoclouds because we do the pre-market planning. Look at all those 3 top plays: PLTR, IONQ. If you shorted even a little bit of all these 3, if you did the options, your account had a decent gain today with the shorting these 3 names. And when it's long, we will long it. When the sector is long, you find the strongest long among these 3 and we will long it. But for now, the time was to make money on the downside. So the thing was you could short was MSTR and coin, right? So you see that flush all day. So that's why we provide this pre-market planning on the cryptos, levels, coin, MSTR, those short. I don't even have to say these things. My community is already shorting all these setups. So you can see that the traders are already doing their short on those names, right? So cat was short all day. Good guidance by cat on coin. Robocash was short. So was MSTR. MSTR was a short as well, right? So beautiful fade on both those names, coin and MSTR. Again, Bitcoin is dumping, so you know that if the Bitcoin is dumping, so that's how you trade these setups. You just use Ripster Cloud, short them, and that's it, right? So we'll be focusing on them on day twos as well. So those were really good shorts. All right, so next one we're going to look at APP here. Let's go to the APP. APP was our day two setup. APP day two setup. Let's take a look here. APP long over for 590, short under 578, 600 key psychological level. Also, there was this MTF clouds. This was under 50-55 MTF. You see that there was a 50-50 MTF that we had on APP. Trade versus daily 50-50 MTF, clearly told in the pre-market plan. And it has been selling off for a few days. When something breaks 50-50 MTF, it's very important you stay bearish. So that's how all the traders were short on APP. I gave the target of 550. We hit the 550 target. Next target I gave was 545. We hit 542s, and then after that we got a little bounce. But you see that APP was a beautiful short trade with the market with the 50-55 MTF breakdown and hit all the targets for a profitable trade. Let's look at some more setups today. We had earning play on Disney, which was a slow fade, nothing crazy, which was a slow fade. We did kind of reduce our size a little bit on Disney because it was kind of taking its sweet time, and it will sometimes happen. So as you see, I told the traders short Disney versus 110. So your risk is 110, you short at 109, your $1 risk, it flushed to 106, you made $3, and then it tried to bounce, held our stops. I said if we hit 512s you can reheat, and then there was a bear flag at 1041. We broke that bear flag, we went all the way to 105. Yeah, so you could hold it and you could make not a crazy amount of profits, but you could take a decent money. You just need to follow the Ripster clouds. As long as Ripster clouds are not reclaiming, you need to hold your shorts, you need to hold your puts, you need the position, let the position work for you, right? So if you were trading, let's say you were trading a 108 puts today, right? So they went from $1.20 to $3 and gave you like 100% trade, not bad, but Disney was a definitely short, and you exit it when it curls the Ripster clouds right here. So we're going to look at Cisco. So the important thing to learn on Cisco is, guys, Cisco has a huge float. It is a big float. This move, it doesn't make this move. It has barely $2 ATR. It made that move in the pre-market after hours, but it usually doesn't make that move. So even though we were short, I told the traders that it's not going to move crazy. It has a big float. So let me show you pre-market planning here on Cisco. So Disney, we had Disney also, I didn't show you the pre-market plan, but that was our pre-market plan. Cisco plan was low ATR, cautious of chop, gap and crap under 78. Huge float. So as soon as break 78, you take this short, you flush it to 76, 80, you make a dollar short, bounces, you make another dollar short, and then you get out when it pops, right? So this will happen, right? So you have to short and you have to cover here, you have to short, you have to cover here, and you can see my timestamp guidance. Initial stops were 79, but once it moved lower, we moved the stops down. So we kept our stops at 78 all day, and it gave us enough chances to cover a short on that, on the drops. Since it doesn't move too much, so the put options on this one, they were they were not really moving too much, right? So they barely, in the moves, they went from like 40 cents to 80 cents illiquid. So you need to understand the stock personality. Cisco is not the best stock to trade because of its huge float, but it does move very slowly and has a low ATR. It's one of the oldest stocks, and it's an old internet, when there was a boom on the NASDAQ. That's a stock is that old. So anyways, great recaps today. Hopefully you learned a few concepts. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.